Hello, welcome to the Test Security and Integrity portion of the MME Day presentation. This is Jessica Fenby, Test Security Specialist with the Office of Educational Assessment and Accountability in the Michigan Department of Education. Why is test security so important? It protects the integrity of the assessment, maintains consistency across all testing, and ensures that the assessment results are accurate and meaningful. Let's learn about the role of the assessment coordinator in maintaining test security. The assessment coordinator is responsible for overseeing all aspects of test administration before, during, and after testing. Responsibilities include ordering materials, material inventory, storage, distribution, collection, and return, training staff, planning for student supports and accommodations, creating the testing schedule, providing support to staff during testing, monitoring test administrations, and incident reporting. The MDE provides a variety of resources to support assessment coordinators. Test administration-related resources can be found on the web page for each assessment. Test security resources can be found on the MDE Assessment Integrity and Security web page. The Assessment Integrity and Security webpage also provides assessment security planning documents, which will help you plan for a secure test administration. Testing Schedule Template. Use this template to create and document your testing schedules. Testing schedules must be documented each year and retained for 3 years. Material Storage and Chain of Custody Form. Use this form to document your internal material storage procedures, as well as the chain of custody process you will use before, during, and after testing. Supports and Accommodations Plans and Procedures. Use this form to document your district building plans and procedures around providing needed supports and accommodations for students on the state's assessments. Incident Reporting Plans and Procedures. Use this form to document your district building plans and procedures for filing incident reports to report irregularities before, during, and after testing. Testing staff and verification of training. Use this form to document the test administration and test security training that staff receive before administering the assessments. Appropriate test security policies and procedures are documented in the Assessment Integrity Guide, or AIG. The AIG is a resource that describes how state-level assessments should be securely administered and includes information on the roles and responsibilities of testing staff, test preparation, administration irregularities, and security. Assessment coordinators are required to not only be trained yearly in appropriate test administration and test security practices, but also provide yearly test administration and test security training to staff. Required test administration training varies by assessment and role of staff, and full details can be found in the TAM for each assessment. Test security training requirements vary by staff roles. Assessment coordinators are required to read the Assessment Integrity Guide and complete the Assessment Security online course through Michigan Virtual. Test administrators and proctors are required to participate in the Assessment Security and online course through Michigan Virtual and/or read the Assessment Integrity Guide. Technology coordinators and other staff are required to read the Keeping Assessment Materials Secure training document found in the AIG. Upon completion of training, any person involved in the administration of ACT WorkKeys, SAT with Essay, PSAT 8, 9, and 10, or MSTEP must sign the OEAA Security Compliance Form. It is the assessment coordinator's responsibility to develop test administration schedules based on the school's resources and needs. When creating your testing schedule, it is important to note that it needs to be aligned to the spring testing schedule for summative assessments and that certain assessments need to be administered on certain days and times. For PSAT 8, 9, and 10 and SAT with Essay, follow the testing schedule requirements documented in the coordinator manual for each assessment. ACT WorkKeys testing schedules are documented in the TAM, and those should be followed. There are times when it is necessary for students to test in a different location than where they received their instruction, and an off-site test administration request must be submitted. Off-site test administration requests for MSTEP, MyAccess, WIDA, ACT WorkKeys, and Early Literacy and Mathematics Benchmark must be submitted through the OEAA Secure site. ACT requires that off-site testing information be documented in the Test Room Report section of the ACT WorkKeys Test Administration Forms folder. Off-site test administration requests for SAT with Essay and PSAT 8, 9, or 10 must be submitted through the College Board. Schools must submit a request form to College Board in mid-December prior to the following spring test administration window. The appropriate form is located on the College Board Michigan website. The test coordinator must ensure that all materials are inventoried upon receipt and kept in a secure limited access location. Now let's talk about the test coordinator's role during testing, including the monitoring of test administration staff, providing supports to staff, and incident reporting. The test coordinator should monitor all active test sessions to ensure procedures are being followed according to the TAM. The test administrator should monitor all testers. Be sure to have a plan in place to allow for staff breaks, student emergencies, and hall monitoring. The assessment coordinator is responsible for incident reporting. The assessment coordinator should ensure that any irregularities are communicated and reported. Specific requirements for incident reporting by assessment can be found in the individual TAMs for each assessment. Test coordinators are responsible for reporting irregularities on the ACT WorkKeys assessment when they occur. The ACT WorkKeys Administration Manual has a section on types of irregularities and descriptions of actions that need to be taken when they occur. There are two categories of irregularities that can occur: individual irregularities and group irregularities. Individual irregularities are incidents that affect one student or several students involved in a single incident that does not affect the larger group of students. Group irregularities are defined as an incident that affects all students testing in a testing room or at the entire testing site. In the event of an individual or group irregularity, the room supervisor is responsible for completing an irregularity report. At the top of the irregularity report, there are instructions on how to complete the form for both the test coordinator and room supervisors. All irregularity reports require that the test site, room number or room location, ACT high school code, city, state, and test date information be included. The irregularity form also needs to have the room supervisor's name and signature, as well as the test coordinator's name and signature. For individual irregularities, the room supervisor is responsible for recording the examinee name and ID number, form code or test booklet number, a description of the irregularity, action taken by the test site personnel, and whether or not the answer document was voided. Group irregularity reports require that the number of examinees affected, test title, time of regularity, a description of the irregularity, and action taken by the test site personnel be recorded. In addition to completing a written irregularity report, the assessment coordinator must also notify ACT by calling the number listed in the TAM. SAT with Essay and PSAT 8, 9, and 10 test coordinators will need to file an irregularity report, IR, for any irregularities that occur during testing. There are two categories of irregularities: an individual irregularity involving one student, or a group irregularity involving all or a portion of a testing room or the entire testing site. Directions for filing an IR for each irregularity can be found in the irregularity chart in the appendix of the Michigan Coordinator Manual for each assessment. Each irregularity will require its own irregularity report and may also require a call to the Michigan School Day Support Hotline. The process for completing printed incident reports is the same for SAT with Essay and PSAT 8, 9, and 10, but each assessment has its own IR form. All IRs will be returned with the test materials following test administration. M-STEP and My Access incident reports are also the responsibility of the assessment coordinator. If any testing irregularities occur before, during, or after testing, the assessment coordinator must report them to the OEAA as soon as possible through the OEAA Secure Site. Detailed information on how to access and use the Secure Site incident reporting tool can be found in the Incident Reporting Guide and the Secure Site training website. Select the ISD, district, and school where the incident occurred. Select the grade, content area, testing mode, and incident category. Enter or use the calendar next to the date and appropriate time incident occurred box and select whether or not students were involved. You can submit the incident report once all of the details have been completed. Let's discuss the role of the assessment coordinator after testing. All materials must remain secure during distribution, use, and return. District and building coordinators should continue to monitor test administrators and students to ensure that all materials were returned to the coordinator. Some assessments have materials that need to be securely destroyed or shredded after use and not returned to the vendor. Ensure all returnable materials are kept securely stored until returned to the vendors. Districts and schools are responsible for returning all materials. Each assessment has specific requirements on how materials are to be boxed and returned. Reference the test coordinator manuals for more information. After testing, it is important that the test coordinator verify the supports and accommodations that students used on each assessment. Test coordinator should also work with the test administrators, teaching staff, and students to ensure that the supports and accommodations used were effective for each student. It is important that the assessment coordinator maintain copies of documents used during testing, including training materials, security compliance forms, test schedules, and material inventory sheets for a minimum of 3 years.